And welcome back to GCSAA TV live from San Diego, presented in partnership with LebanonTurf. This is part of our continuing coverage of the golf industry show. My name is Chris Gray, and I'll be the host for this segment, where I am joined on stage by Andrew Wilson. He is the Director of Ergonomy for Bethpage State Parks. Andrew, thanks for taking some time out of your busy show schedule to come up here and have a conversation.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
You know what, it's one, I'd like to say congratulations for being the host site of this year's PGA Championship. It's the 101st, and this is the first time we're actually, the PGA's moved it up into May, when it's traditionally been a later in the calendar event.
Right.
I'm assuming, did that have any effect on you guys getting ready for this, or?
We started getting questions asked about two, even 3 years ago, sort of below the radar about it. And then we started looking at the conditions in May, and we're mostly POA, so the POA in late May is a pretty good time of year for us, better than late August or middle of August is almost always stress on POA green. So we were pretty happy to hear that. It was definitely an advantage to be in May.
Well, that's good. That makes it nice and easier for you then, because
yeah,
summertime in POA never really goes over too well. So
we just have to get through the winter. Another a month and a half or so to get through the winter damage. That was the major concern of anything going wrong, would be winter damage. But hopefully we've had a mild winter so far. So.
Well, that's good. And I'd also like to say congratulations for being selected the host of the Ryder Cup in 2024.
Right.
One of my favorite events, and I'll make sure to be tuning in for that one. So it's you've got a lot on tap coming up on your schedule for over the next 5 years, don't you?
Yeah, it goes quick. It goes quick. I remember between the 1990, I've been at Bethpage for a while. So in 1997, when they announced the Open, that's when my golf maintenance career started. And then 2002 came fast, and then they announced 2009, and it goes in a heartbeat.
How long have you been at Bethpage?
Since the early 90s. So I've been on the golf. I was working around the clubhouse, kind of doing odd jobs, helping get ready for outings and more operations. And then in 1997, I went out to golf maintenance.
That's a neat transition. That's
basically a one-club man so far. So
your property is very unique because it is, as we mentioned, a state park. Tell me a little bit about the property, the courses. Give us a little rundown on what you take care of.
Well, mostly known for golf courses, but it's a 1,500-acre park, 5 golf courses, about 225,000 rounds a year of golf or so. Have 2 courses open today.
Wow.
The black course is our famous course. That's the tournament course, and the other courses are always popular with the locals. And then we also have a picnic area and polo fields we have to maintain, and bike trail, and it's 365 days of busy things to go on.
Welcome to New York. They keep you busy on that one.
Yeah, someone had said it was like the golf course that never sleeps, or the facility that never sleeps. Yeah, so that was good.
Now, how many separate golf courses are actually there? I know there are.
It's 5.
You do have 5?
Yeah, 5 courses operating out of 1 clubhouse, and we have 1 maintenance facility.
Okay.
And, so it's unique in that way.
And the famous one is obviously the black course,
right?
Yep, the one where the tournaments and they are typically held, and that's obviously the hardest of the course, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. A lot longer, tighter fairways. The bunkers are a lot more treacherous, so yeah, it's a tough course.
That's good. Now you're obviously, we're talking about the PGA, we're talking about the Ryder Cup, and you also mentioned some of the other tournaments that you had. You're no stranger to hosting. Even though this is a state park, you've hosted lots and lots of high-level tournaments on this one. How many have you and your staff personally been involved with?
So in 2002 and 2009, during those times I was the superintendent of the green course. Craig Currier was in my position at that point, so he was hosting then, and then I took over from him in 2010, and we hosted 2 Barclays since then in 2012 and 2016. So the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. So that's been my tournament career. We have the State Open every year, so we're always hosting local events too. the LIGA, the MGA, the Met PGA. So we do a lot of practice runs.
Well, it is unique that it is a state park course, and that some people, when they think of state park, they think conditions are going to vary, but obviously you've got very demanding on at least certain aspects of it. How do you manage when you've got 5 different courses out there? How do you manage them differently, or does each course have different levels of expectation? Do they? How do you struggle with managing 5 different courses that aren't managed the same?
Well, I would probably say the black course gets probably half the resources in the park, and then the other 5 sort of get between 5 to 15% of the resources. The black course has the crew size of the black course is quintuple of some of the other courses. It's a much bigger course than the other ones too. Like I said, it's had a lot more. Even maintaining high rough is we probably have more guys maintaining the high rough on the black course than some that we have maintaining the other golf courses. But we can also shift employees around. So when we have an outing or a tournament on the red course, for example, we can send a few guys from the black course over for a few days ahead of time to make sure we're doing the right thing. Not only for outings and tournaments, but also for the daily fee golfers, that we're keeping conditions good enough to that everyone who plays there feels they're getting good value for their dollar. It's we're a public course, and I live in the area, live in the neighborhood, so if we're not looking good, I'll hear it. So I want to make sure we're looking good, and we want the locals to be as proud of the conditions on the yellow as they are on the black.
Sure. Yeah. Are the daily expectations for the conditions on the black course, are they much more stringent than the other courses? And how close are they to kind of what we see on TV when we tune in and watch the Open or we watch it? How far apart are those?
For the black course, we try to get it as close as we can. Usually the green speeds will be the one thing that we can't get. We keep the greens in the black course at least at, say, 10 foot. We try to, if we're going to put a number on it. But we can't get the tournament speeds just because of the rounds we do, and the public would just be out there for 6.5 hours if the pace of play would just kill us. So, we try to do as best we can, and sometimes it's about presentation as well, just to make sure the course is tidy, everything's mowed nicely, and same like I said, just keeping the place tidy and neat. And sometimes on the other courses we might not be able to do as much, but we would try to be as economical and efficient as possible.
Sure. With the staff that you've got, you say half of them are on the black course, and which basically really makes a lot of sense, obviously. When you're getting ready for a tournament we're about 3 months out now from the PGA, how do they switch gears? I mean, if they're used to a certain standard for the everyday, but all of a sudden we're about 3 months out now, when do they really kind of switch into overdrive, and what do they have to do to make that switch in order to get ready for a big league tournament like what you got coming up?
So say in the spring, one of the things we can do operationally is we won't have any outings on the other courses. So when it's daily fee golf on the other courses, it means we should have we might take an employee or two from the other golf courses, put them on the black course. We'll have a few more extra interns this year. Usually we have 2 or 3. This year we already have 7.
Wow.
So there's ways that we can get it done, and then we're going to close. The black course will close 2 weeks before the tournament, and the whole park, the whole facility actually is going to close the week before. So we'll have no golf for the whole week before. So with that much time, we can start getting things done. And then some of the preparation started this October. We closed the back tees, so we just this way the divots would heal in, and we're going to keep the back tee. If we open in the spring. We'd like to open for 2 weeks in the spring since we're a public course, and just to get some excitement built around the event. Hopefully the weather's nice enough that'll allow us to open the black course and get some public players out there, which means more ball marks and more divots. But so each course has their own superintendent. So of course the black course superintendent would love to stay closed, but we understand the mission of the park is to host public golfers. So we'll see how the spring goes.
That's good. Now you'd mentioned about some of the preparations and somehow they've started months ago, because I know with the PGA sometimes they like to go in, they like to lengthen some tees, they like to do different projects. Have you had to do anything in order to prepare for this 101st championship?
Maybe the noticeable changes from the last tournament, the Barclays, or even the last Open, would be the 18th hole. We added 2 bunkers on the 18th hole in the fairway. The contouring of the fairway changed a little bit. There was a big kind of a bailout area in the beginning of the fairway that allowed some people to really just kind of pull the throttle back and lay up. And now the fairway got expanded a little further down the fairway, but tightened up at the beginning just to make it about 24 yards wide the whole way out. The 11th hole, we added a back left pin location. The green got expanded by about 600-700 square feet. Oh wow! So that'll be a new feature. It's in a little a tucked pin position on that hole. So.
Just what you need out there.
Yeah, a couple of comments some of the comments the PGA had made was that we don't really need to go crazy making this course harder. It's hard enough. So they didn't really have too much concern about that. So those 2 projects, but we did those last year. We've rebuilt almost all the greenside bunkers have been renovated, but in terms of design, they're pretty much the same, just renovated with new bunkers.
That's good. So, your course is like a machine. I mean, you've hosted so many different tournaments there, so many high caliber. Is there anything that, from your standpoint, what's the most challenging aspect of getting ready for a tournament? I mean, if you've been through it so many times before, is there anything that still kind of comes up and surprises you, or how do you personally, what do you find the most challenging part of it?
I mean, preparing for the weather is the biggest thing. I mean, in
Sure.
09, it rained every day, and that just turned into a kind of a bit of a nightmare maintenance-wise. It was just the rain just was nonstop. But other than that, I think we've done enough where, we're prepared enough that we know that one guy will handle the PGA and where they're, so he can work with their construction team, and so we know that they're not going to put a fence right through one of our irrigation pipes, and then we kind of know things like that are going to happen anyway. So how do we react to that, and how can we solve some of those problems? And our volunteering, our volunteers are all squared away already. So for the most part, turf-wise, we've done it. We practiced last year. We kind of had a practice run last year. Mike Hadley's a super on the black course. He kind of prepared the black last spring in the same way as we planned to do it this spring. So that was another, getting used to what the weather patterns will be like and how long it takes to mow in a certain direction or mow a certain way, what
Sure.
what kind of timing we're looking at. So we're pretty prepared.
You'd mentioned about you had your volunteers all set. How many people are going to be there to help you with this? I mean, this is all about how the number of people needed in order to prepare a tournament obviously has to be much more than what you normally do. So how many do you have to deal with, and how do you manage just the sheer number of new people as compared to what your normal staff would be?
We have about 50 to 60 employees on staff, depending on the time of year, and then we have about 100 volunteers right now. So it's a healthy number, 100. And then, which relates to about 80 a day. Some people come in the mornings only, some people are there in the evenings only, some people do certain days. We also have, been at Bethpage a long time. We've had a lot of former employees, being that we've hosted some of these tournaments.
Okay.
We've had a lot of interns, a lot of guys stick around for a few years, and then when they come back to volunteer, it's nice to know that they know the course. So if we put them, if we have one of a former employee can be a bunker captain, then he knows where to go, he knows where the equipment is, he knows where the gas pumps are, so the familiarity can help us get through the tournament.
When you start preparing for these tournaments, and eventually, they're going to be here, eventually my work's going to stop, and then what do you look forward to the most? I mean, once that first tee goes off and you realize you can't do anything else, what is it that you look at it and that you think, okay, this is what I want to see, or this is how I feel? Kind of walk me through what goes on in your mind once that first tee shot finally goes off.
I guess after that, we want to make sure the behind-the-scenes things are going well, but even like meeting all the volunteers is a great experience. I mean, we have, like I said, about 100 people to, we want to make sure they're having a good experience and they're getting taken care of. We have about 20 guys from the UK coming, 5 Australians, and our former employees. That's a lot of fun. Dealing with even the PGA, their rules officials, and getting to talk to them and interact with them and hear their experience, get their feedback on the golf course. And a lot of times there can even be feedback for the tournament golf, but then feedback that helps us prepare for daily golf too. That makes us a better golf course. They can offer new perspectives and different ideas. Kerry Hay's been great to work with from the PGA of America. So there's a lot of different aspects that are very rewarding when the tournament starts to go on. A lot of times sometimes it's so busy on the golf course. It's nice just to stay in the volunteer tent and just watch it on TV and see how the course looks on TV and see that's your work. That's your work on screen that's being watched around the world.
That I think you hit it right there on the nail. Is obviously you get to sit there and watch the TV. You get to see what you've done and present it to the world. And I know that come here between May 16th and May 19th, which is only 3 short months away, we'll certainly be sitting there watching it with you in appreciation. And honestly, I'd like to thank you very much for your time and this insight back on that one.
Great.
So it's fantastic. So until next time, I'd like to thank Andrew for his time here, and please tune in for the next segment of GCSAA TV, brought to you in sponsorship with Lebanon Turf. So until next segment, we'll talk to you then. Bye.